everybody. Welcome to the Grand Torino. So Joe brought in the CEO of Twitter, Jack. Twitter has been shadow banning conservative point of views around the world. And for him to come on and say that hasn't been going, or he didn't know why Alex Jones was banned from his platform, even though he alluded that, he was the fourth off. Come on, let's watch it.
But I also think about it because of podcasts, because podcasts are in a similar way. Just no one saw it coming, and the people that are involved in it are like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
Like me. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, for me, it's like, ooh, boy, I get to talk to guys like Ben Greenfield and Jonathan Haidt and all these different people and learn some stuff. And I've clearly learned way more from doing this podcast than I ever would have learned without it. No doubt about it. Unquestioned.
And as have I. And I go back to my previous... after Alex, Joe was a great mentor in taking responsibility for your own understandings, your own epistemology. And I said with the great guests that he brought on, definitely I've learned a lot more listening to Joe. But it's at this junction now where we come up, and the easy ride that he gave Jack Dorsey.
But I didn't fucking plan this. So now all of a sudden there's this signal that I'm sending out to millions and millions of people, and then people are like, well, you have a responsibility. I'm like, oh, great. Well, I didn't want that. I didn't want a responsibility to what I distribute. I just wanted to be able to have...
Yeah, well, you have to have, when you gain such a prominence, if you're on such a platform, you're earning millions off it, and people look up to you, and people listen to what you say, and they value your point of view. You do have to assume a certain sense of responsibility, but you have a certain sense of responsibility to yourself to hold true to your principles and your morals, and to change your position when new information that comes in or new facts come into play and you agree with them. You should be willing to compromise and change your position on all subjects. But again, you must be able to stick to your own moral compass, and there should be red lines. You know my red lines. I've always set out my position as we go forward.
Unquestionably. But I didn't fucking plan this. So now all of a sudden there's this signal that I'm sending out to millions and millions of people, and then people are like, well, you have a responsibility. I'm like, oh, great. Well, I didn't want that. I didn't want a responsibility to what I distribute. I just wanted to be able to have a freak show. Just talk to people, like whatever, like there's certain people that I'll have on, whether it's Alex Jones or anyone that's controversial, where people will get fucking mad.
Alex Jones.
Why are you giving this person a platform? I go, okay, I didn't think about it that way, and I don't think that's what I'm doing. I think I'm talking to people, and you can listen.
Yeah.
But it's giving that person a platform, because they're saying, well, no, they'll tone down their, like Milo Yiannopoulos. That was one of the arguments people gave me. Like, he toned down his platform when he was on your show so he could get more people to pay attention.
I'm bringing people on because I want
but he also talked about
to be expressed, because I don't believe we're getting that in our mainstream.
That was one of the reasons why he was exposed, was my show, because he talked about that it's okay to have sex with underage boys if they're gay, because there's like a mentor relationship between the older gay man and the younger, and people are like, what the fuck are you talking about? And that was a big part of why he's kind of been removed from the public conversation. There was one of the things, and then there's the discussion like, well, what is that? What is removing someone from the public conversation? If someone is very popular and they have all these people that like to listen to them, like, what is the responsibility of these platforms?
What if you have a position where you have 10,000 subscribers and you have people calling you, doxing your family name or putting your family's address and putting your family's life at risk? Because I choose to have this platform. This is my platform, the Grand Torino, and on my subscribers. This platform is nothing without my subscribers throughout the world, and people that leave all their great comments down below. But I'm talking to you guys. I'm talking to my subscribers. And this has the potentiality to be a game changer for me going forward. This has a potentiality to be a game changer for Ireland, because say politics comes a knocking. Do I want to go on RTE and talk to, not talk to them, do I want to go on RTE and be edited and smeared and painted in a bad light when I can reach and directly just talk to you here on YouTube? Parts of me wanted to, I might set out one time and do not an AMA, but write out a political list. We'll do a live stream and talk about, come up with 15. I think 15 is too long, like the LFS had 15. Let's come up with 10, start off with 10. 10 lists of what we'd like to achieve, or what as an independent candidate, or another independent candidate, what would we like to see achieved? And I'll do that in the live stream with the audience. And thank you for my regular live stream audience attendees. You all know who you are, and we'll trash out those ideas ourselves together and see if we can put something together. But let's have this conversation in here, and we'll throw it out, and people will see. People will see what we're trying to achieve, or what we set out, what we want. Maybe we'll come together and formulate, something fantastic. The Grand Torino hive mind. We have the Conspiratorium over in the United States, a great think tank of peoples and loads of different YouTube channels where their communities come together and support each other. We'll get that going here. Anyway, back to Joe and Jack. Joe and Jack, what do you say? Now, the reason I'm going to jump back in, and the reason I'm saying I'm parting ways with Joe is because I only just found out that Twitter is one of Joe's biggest sponsor. So he's not going to call him out. He's not going to call his biggest sponsor out and give him the hard questions and say, why did you ban Alex Jones? Why are you banning conservative? Why are you banning conservative viewpoints throughout the United States and throughout the world? And he got off such. What was your answer to Project Veritas and all the open, flagrant bias that was shown throughout James O'Keefe's fantastic undercover operations that exposed the bias that's rampant throughout Twitter, and I imagine it'll come forward. You'll see Facebook, their HQ, and those adjudicators of truth who issue out 30-day bans willy-nilly. Of course, you've got your terms of service. I agree, but when it's clear to see that there's a clear bias of the pages that you shut down and the voice and the opinion that you close down, a democracy that does not make. Even to my leftist friends, surely you must agree with that. Even you moderate peoples that are slightly spiting and thinking of the national side or the sovereign side as opposed to the globalist side, which just wants total state control and wants to be in your back pocket and control your every thought and action and regulate your business, how you conduct business, blah, 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 the usual. It doesn't work.
Whether it's YouTube or Twitter or anyone. Yeah. What is their responsibility to decide whether or not someone should or shouldn't be able to speak? And this is a thing that I've been struggling with, and I bounce around inside my own head, and I see that you guys struggle with it, and pretty much everyone does. YouTube does.
You guys?
And it's
you guys struggle with it?
It is a hugely significant discussion that is left to a very relatively small amount of people. And this is why this discussion of what is social media, is it something that everybody has a right to? Or is it something that should be restricted to only people that are willing to behave and carry themselves in a certain way?
No. If you can go over to Gab, you can speak and say whatever you want to say. That's free speech. There should be no decorum, no modicum of conversation. If you don't agree with whatever someone put out, whatever nonsense they put out, you unfollow. You don't have them coming into your stream. You don't engage with that thought. If it's calling for violence, then it should be reported. If it's breaking the standards that you can't shed out fire in a cinema, these agreed upon statements that you can't utter, but everything should go because the marketplace of ideas will allow the right thinkings to come through. But when you're forcing a bias through and manipulating the figures, democracy that does not make. You're skewing the figures. Stasi-land. 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 Be careful where you place the hand in your videos, because these will be cut out.
Everyone has a right to, but you still ban people. What
the hell is a man?
Alex
a CEO
Jones, you guys were the
of
last
a $1 billion
guys to keep
company
Alex
there
Jones
with a
on the
nose
platform.
ring.
You were the last one.
A nose ring.
And I believe you hung in there until he started harassing you personally, right?
No. He did not.
He came to your house. He banged. No.
No. He did very different things on our platform versus the others.
I don't know.
Okay.
So we saw this domino effect over a weekend of one platform banning him, and then another in very, very quick succession.
Right.
And, people, I think, would have assumed that we would just have followed suit, but we didn't violate our terms of service.
Right.
And afterwards, he did. And we have a policy, and if there's a violation, we take enforcement actions. One might be, asking the account holder to delete the tweet. Another might be a temporary suspension. Another might be a permanent suspension.
So what you're saying, so like let's use it in terms of...
Or another be, we might manipulate your figures so that you can't see the likes and retweets, or that your anything that you tweet out is tweeted out into an echo chamber and it's not dispersed amongst all your followers. Your followers aren't given any notification of any tweets that you put out. We know these tactics, but he's totally avoided. And Joe knows these tactics because Joe's a clever guy. Joe is a clever guy. You don't get to his position in life without being smart. But Joe understands that he's a brand, and Joe got attacked by the establishment, and Joe is backing off. And because he's not standing by his homie, because he's not standing by his friend, that's why I'm separating myself from Joe. Cheerio, goodie eye. And I agree with Owen Benjamin. It's Toe Rogan. The guy's only 5'2", kicks like a monster. I wouldn't like to tussle with him. I'm just having a bit of banter. But yeah, go check out Owen Benjamin. There's a truth warrior. There's a man on logic. There's a man that's putting his family and life at risk and is thriving because of the support, because people agree with his veracity in being true to comedy and the essence of comedy, in pushing boundaries, and not being restricted.
Him saying that Cindy Hook was fake. He did not say that on the platform. He did not say that on Twitter. He only said that on his show.
I don't know all the mediums he said it in.
Yeah. What
we're looking at is the conduct and what he did on our platform.
So what did he do on your platform that was like that you all were in agreement that this is enough?
I'm not sure what the actual violations were, but we have a set number of actions, and if they keep getting
conservative voice out in the world, and you don't know what terms of service he broke,
an account keeps violating terms of service, ultimately it leads to permanent suspension. And when all the other platforms were taking him off, we didn't find those. We didn't find those violations, and they weren't reported. But again, it goes back to a lot of our model. People weren't reporting a lot of the tweets that may have been in violation on our service,
go down on your travels down
and
to the different
we
rabbit
didn't
holes.
act on them.
Right. Like a good instance is what's going on with Patreon. I'm sure you're aware of the Sargon of Akkad thing.
Mm-hmm.
He did a podcast a long time ago, I believe 6 months or so ago, where he used the N-word, and the way he used it is actually against white nationalists. And he also said a bunch of other stuff, and Patreon decided that what he said on a podcast was enough for them to remove him from the platform.
So Sargon, because he was on a podcast, because he used the term incorrectly, even though the context was against white nationalists, the editing, the left came in, smeared, took him down. Now you have to see the bigger threat. The Patreon is a platform that allows the donations. Patreon is an income revenue for people that want to support your platform. They become patrons, and they subscribe, and they give you a monthly subscription. And that's for Sargon of Akkad. That was a big part of his earning course, and because of a word that was incorrectly ascribed to him, he got shut down. But the pressure on Patreon came from the banks. MasterCard said, if you don't shut this opinion down, or shut this guy down, without allowing the conversation to flow or the understanding or the context, the banks, the globalists, threatened the Patreon acquiesced and took Sargon off their platform. That has dangerous ramifications going forward, because as I said, Twitter is Joe Rogan's biggest sponsor. He's not going to piss Jack Dorsey off. But also when his live streams start getting affected and his Patreon, the globalists can put the market on him. Now Joe's a clever guy. He's sticking to the business, but again, he's selling Alex out. For those of you who don't know, Alex Jones, one of the biggest conservative viewpoints, big time, used to be known as a conspiracy theorist, or as we like to say over in the conspiratorium, a conspiracy analyst. We are conspiracy analysts because more and more of our conspiracies are starting to unfold. If you can't see, grand jury investigation is being reopened. That's legit. That's on the whitehouse.gov website. The grand jury is being investigated to reopen the investigation into 9/11. Joe's not going to threaten his biggest sponsor, and he knows that the threat from the bank is real. So Joe's just sticking to business. But I can't be a part of that, because if you're a friend of mine, I'm with you through thick and thin. If you do something despicable, if you do something immoral, you blank, you cut you dead. You're dead to me. You know that you're dead to me. You do something immoral. You know the moral principles that I stand on. So you know what that would mean. If you stand over that and you're a friend of mine, you're dead to me. Same as if you come across with an ideology and you cannot be persuaded to engage in conversation, or you just shout and scream, you're dead to me. You're dead to me. I don't need to engage with you. I don't need to speak with you.
They had previously stated that they were only judging things that occurred on their platform.
Yeah.
There's been a giant blowback because of that, because people are saying, well, now you're essentially policing, and not based on his actions, just on concepts and the communication that he was using, the way he was talking.
Yeah.
That you're eliminating him from being able to make a living, and that you're doing this because he does not fit into your political paradigm. The way you want to view the world, he views the world differently. This is an opportunity for you to eliminate someone who you disagree with.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the nuances of their policy, but like we have to pay attention to folks who are using Twitter to shut down the voices of others.
Right.
That's where it gets weaponized, and we also have to pay attention to where people are using it that put other folks in physical danger, and that is where we need to be most severe. But otherwise, everyone has a right to these technologies, and I think they also have a right to make sure that they have a very simple and open read of the rules, and we're not in a great state there. Our rules and our enforcement can be extremely confusing to people.
Veritas shows us time and time again. I'm not paying much attention to Joe. I keep tuning in when I see a guest that I think would intrigue me. I jump in there and listen to it there. But even Joe's opinions, he never gets off the fence. Get off the fence, mate. Take a position. Stand over something. You know, you're too wishy-washy all the time. You can't be doing it anymore. See you next time on the Gran Torino. Us, everybody. Look after yourselves. God bless.